Have you ever wanted to play pool but didn't know how? If so, you're in the right place. This is how to play American 8-ball. To start off, we're going to discuss some of the equipment that you will be using. This is the cue ball. You will use this ball in order to hit the other balls on the table, which come in solids and in stripes. This is called a rack. At the beginning of the game, all of the balls will be put into it. At the start of the game, the rack will be placed on one side of the table, in the center. While there are differing opinions on the exact order of the balls inside the rack, it is important to remember that the 8-ball must be in the middle. The cue ball is then placed on the other side of the table, in line with the middle dots on either side. This is called the cue stick, and it is used to strike the cue ball. When you are ready to shoot, you want to hold the cue stick at your hip with your other hand flat on the table. You then place the cue stick as shown in the video. Now that you're familiar with all the equipment, it's time to start playing the game. American 8-ball begins with what is called a break. This is when the cue ball is hit into the other 15 balls. When hitting the cue ball, it's best to have the tip of the stick come into contact with the center of the ball. Upon performing the break, the player may find that one or more of the balls goes into a pocket. Whether the first ball that goes in is stripes or solids determines which type of ball the player will then be attempting to hit into the pockets for the rest of the game. If none of the balls go into the pocket upon the first hit, the players will take turn until a ball is sunk. If a player manages to sink a ball, they are now able to take another turn. They can keep going until they fail to sink one of the balls. If the cue ball is hit and proceeds to leave the table or go into a pocket or even just miss the other balls on the table, this is known as a scratch. If a scratch takes place, the player who did not commit the foul is now able to place the cue ball wherever they choose on the other side of the table. This needs to be behind the two middle dots in what is known as the kitchen. It is important to note that the 8-ball should be the last ball that a player sinks into a pocket. If the 8-ball is sunk before the player's corresponding balls, that player will lose. To win the game, a player must sink all stripes or solids, and then, finally, the 8-ball. Before sinking the 8-ball, the player must call a pocket, or pick which pocket they are aiming for the 8-ball to land in. If the 8-ball is sunk in this specific pocket, they win. If the 8-ball is sunk in another pocket, then they lose. If the 8-ball is not sunk at all, then it simply is the other player's turn again. Okay, so now you know the basics of American 8-ball. While there is much more to learn about the game, you're finally ready to pick up a cue stick and start playing.